Go live, go live, go live, go live. We is live. 1 second. There you go. All right, man. Welcome to the Ave Podcast, a special edition, a special short edition with the Ave Podcast. I'm back with the commish, my South Shore family member, Julian, a.k.a. Jules the Commish. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on. So, are we live right now or what?
We're live right now.
All right, I'm good.
But quick question, man. Before we begin all this basketball talk, did you watch the hockey game last night? I totally forgot that thing was on.
I missed it.
But you missed it too.
I was out with my son, baseball game. Yeah, he had a baseball game.
Yeah.
But I was telling everybody like it's going to be a wrap tonight. Like it's done. But it looked like they won pretty handedly. I'm not surprised. I didn't think they wanted to go back to Edmonton. So, yeah, they won it pretty easily. Like I think they were up like 3-1.
Yo, they're up 5-0.
5-0?
5-0.
See, I didn't see that. I saw I saw the box score and they got a couple of empty netters in the end, a couple two thing. But yeah, it was done. I think they were done.
So in your eyes, though, what was it that made it the way it was? Like, what was it that made it like? Because it was 2-2. Like, what made it just all of a sudden Florida was just like, all right, that's enough for this. Like, what was the factor? Because I saw a game. I missed Game 5. Not to cut you, but I missed Game 5, and I saw that it was it was like 5-2 or 5-1. I missed that game too, and I was like, holy cow. So from there, I was like, that's not good.
Yeah, so I think there was 2 points. So I think one was when Edmonton won I think they won Game 4 to tie it 2-2. In that game, Florida was up like 3-0. Like they were in control, and they pretty much gave that game to Edmonton to win it, and they blew it. So I think at that point, that was one factor. So meaning that they dominated that game, and Edmonton somehow came back to win it. So I think Florida felt like, you know what, they can beat these guys. So that's one factor. The second factor is when they lost their starting goalie for Edmonton is Skinner, and they ran him from the net. Like they scored like 4 goals.
It's crazy.
I mean, he's their main number one goalie, right?
Right.
At that point, they brought in the backup who played well. Pickard, he played well, but he played well, but you could tell that he wasn't going to play well for the remaining of the series. In a position now, do I go back to the number one who got blown up, or do I go back with a hot hand backup goalie?
Right.
So what do you do? So they played the backup goalie. They kind of smoked him, right? They smoked him as we thought, and then they brought Skinner back in, and Skinner, which is the number one goalie, he was in the same headspace. So the goaltending was a turning point.
What killed him. But I tell you though, man, Florida, I mean, I don't know what happened in the Carolina series, but it seems like at the end of each series, they got stronger.
Yeah.
Like they just started scoring more. Because like if you go by the Maple Leaf series, they won both games like 5-1 or 5-0 or whatever it was. And the last 2 wins that they had. You know what I mean? It looks like the same thing happened here.
And kudos to them. Kudos to the coaching team, like making series adjustments. Lineup changes or whatever they did something to change up their team's approach to each game, right? As you said, they got stronger in the latter half of the series and looked like the better team. So kudos to the coaching staff to getting those players motivated, and they did look like a different team towards the second half of every series, right? And winning easily, clearly winning the games and crucial like elimination games. They were there to win it. So yeah, man, I don't know. They had a solid lineup though. Florida made some trades at the deadline with Marchand, and they have a amazing a defenseman core, Forsling. They have a solid team, top through bottom. Bennett, playoff type player, two-way player, grinder, hitter.
Marchand.
So they have Marshawn's nasty, gritty. They got a whole bunch of playoff type players.
Yeah.
So they made the right trades for the management. You got to give them that, man.
That was probably one of the best trades too that they made. Because
Right.
I mean, who thought Marshawn had that left in the tank?
I didn't think so. Like I think he still had it, but not that much. And it paid off to make those trades at the deadline. Sometimes most trades at the deadline, you're taking all trades are risks, but to trade for a rental player and stuff like that, the deadline and win it. Kudos to the GM. He must be on, cloud nine, man. He looks like a genius.
Back to back, man. South Florida, back to back Stanley Cup champion. That is crazy. That is crazy. The beach is gonna be. The trophy's gonna be bathing on Dania Beach or Fort Lauderdale Beach in a couple of days.
Probably there now.
Yeah, you're right. You're probably right. So the Lakers, they did it again, man. They found a way to hijack the NBA and the finals. You hit me with that news this afternoon. I was heading downtown and I was like, what are you talking about? Because just before we started doing this live, I'm like, what is amazing is, to your point, they did not leak any of this.
Nothing.
Like, not a peep. I didn't. When you hit me with that, I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, they sold the Lakers? The Buss family sold the Lakers? And we didn't hear not a peep? Not from Shams, not from nobody.
Shams sleeping. No rumors, nothing.
Yo, Shams, man, I don't know, man. He's been taking a bit of a hit lately, bro.
I don't know how they kept
relaxing
that.
a bit because Woj is retired. Woj might have to come back in the game.
Gotta bring him back. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they kept that under wraps, because you would think something like the Laker organization being up for sale would be, top line news, right? Like, did other bidders get a chance? Like, was there a bidding war? Like, what was it, under the table? Not under the table, but like a private room deal. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
$10 billion.
$10 billion, man. $10 billion. So it's a 67% markup from what Boston sold their franchise for 5 months ago.
What the fuck? No,
because Boston sold it for 6.
Wow. I did not even look at that comparison to see, because you're right. Boston just recently sold.
Yeah.
How many months ago? Not even like 2 months.
5 months ago.
5 months ago, and that much more. Holy cow! Yeah,
but
she
you
had
get
to
it
sell
though.
that.
You get it though, because it's the Lakers.
It's the Lakers, but somebody's giving you $10 billion. You know what I'm saying?
Do it. You
got to do it. And like, I think they are, they're at a point in their lives, like there's nobody really to give it to. Not nobody, I don't know, but like they held it in the family for how many years, you said? From 1979 or something?
79, so 45 years at least.
45 years. They enjoyed that lifestyle. It brought in value for them, their investment. I think for $10 billion, now is the time. So I don't blame them.
And what's interesting with the Lakers that people don't know about is that Buss family is not, they're like one of the few owners of a franchise, especially for somebody that owns, or an entity that owns such a major franchise. They don't actually have other businesses. You know what I mean? Like, somebody owns, like Jeff Bezos owns Amazon. He's going to buy this team, or somebody owns Starbucks, whatever. You know what I mean? They don't do that. They're just Laker business.
Interesting.
That's it. So it's like, so their money is just strictly tied into how successful the Lakers are. Like, that is it.
Yeah. Well, that's uncommon these days, because a lot of these owners have their hands in a lot of other ventures, right? So
yeah,
they can at least, the Buss family could at least during those years focus on the Lakers, put all the money into the Lakers, and not be distracted in other ventures. But yeah, man, this is still surprising. $10 billion, man.
Julian, what a way to show like the intellect of Jerry Buss, the father first to even buy the team back in the day, which, I mean, we bought it for $67 million back in the day. So to teach your youngins, your children about passing that stuff down the line to now where it's worth like $10 billion, like that's one of the great investments, man. Like, what What can you say?
Did you watch that documentary, the Lakers Dynasty, like the documentary at the
The
time?
actual documentary, not
Not the
the.
actual documentary, like the series.
No, I watched the actual documentary. I didn't
Okay.
watch the
Well, so
series.
it's similar to the doc, I'm assuming that
Eh,
just and well, what I wanted to say in terms of the story, in terms of how he took ownership of the Lakers, how he generated his money, how he didn't have enough money, and he pretended that he had enough money just to get into that position to actually take ownership of the team. It's it shows the amount of risk he took. Uh, the risk that he took fits his personality because his personality was a risky personality type. If you saw like this series, but yeah, kudos to him that it paid off big time. Not all investments turn out like this, man. So he was right. He was right to actually threw everything into it, right? He had to take loans out and all this shit. So it's amazing that it came out to be $10 billion in 2025.
He made it. I mean, from the beginning, he made the Lakers like an actual show. You know what I mean? From the Laker girls to just like all the celebrities, and like they made it a thing to be, because prior to that, it wasn't. You just went to the games. Like it wasn't a big deal to go watch the Lakers.
You're right.
But between that, drafting Magic Johnson, and just having everything just like within a couple of years, like the Lakers was the hottest ticket to be a part of it. It's never stopped. You know what I mean? So those couple of years of sacrifice paid off dividends beyond that, and then some, and then more for the family. You know what I mean?
Man,
it's amazing,
so, and that's why it's worth actually what it is now. That's why it's worth $10 billion from what he did, right? So,
what's insane, Julian, is the quick story. He actually had to borrow some of that money from Donald Sterling.
Did he? Like I can't
to buy the franchise.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that he was able to do that, like to convince him, right? Like to convince him to get a big. Yeah.
So it tells me a couple of things, man. So first off, the owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves, who just sold to Alex Rodriguez and him, he must be pissed off.
How much did he sell?
I think he sold his, because remember there was a whole thing a couple of years ago. I think he sold to them for I think just over $1 billion, or like 1.2 billion, and then Minnesota got good. And then I think he wanted to renege on the deal, or not even renege, but he wanted to charge more. And that's where they had to take it to court and everything. So finally, the courts ruled in A-Rod in his favor. So he had to sell the team for what he promised that he was going to sell it for. So seeing a deal like this today, he must be like, oh my God, I left billions, an extra couple billion on the table.
Yeah, definitely extra couple billions, not extra $9 billion for the Lakers.
No.
Yeah, it's Minnesota. Yeah, but he had to have known, like, all franchises go up in value, right? Like he has to know, like he knew what he was doing, but obviously you don't know how much it's going to increase in value in how many years and whatnot. And this probably was he the owner at the time when they drafted Edwards, or no?
Yeah,
he did. Okay, well,
he's been there from the beginning. I don't know if it's from the beginning, but he's been there like even from when Garnett. And then
No, but Anthony Edwards is like a franchise changing.
Player, no, 100%.
Right? So that's going to increase the value from jersey sales to attendance and all that. So I wasn't sure if he sold at that point after they drafted him, or was it before? But anyhow, yeah, man, like but he still got a Billy, so I'm not worried about him.
No, I'm not mad at him either.
And who knows what he bought it for?
I'm not shedding tears for that, brother.
Right. That's why when I hear about these owners complain about like player contracts, and then they have lockouts, and they start complaining they're losing money per every year. Yeah, maybe, but the value of the organization is going up every year. You know what I'm saying? So like you can't just look at when owners complain about this and that. No, just look at what the value is for your organization, for the team. And then I will hear you out. Because these guys are making money. They're making money at the end of the day. They may not be making year-to-year money, but they're sitting on a billy because they own a franchise.
I'm sure there's been some stories about teams being undersold, but I don't think you've ever heard a story where a team, you bought a franchise and you sold it for less than it was worth
No,
after it
that's
was
what I'm saying.
ready to
That's
see,
what I'm
right?
saying.
You always made money on it. I mean, now it's
Yeah.
just the amount now is just insane. Like the money that's rolling in for some of these franchises are crazy.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you owning a triplex, and you're complaining that you can't get renters or whatever for that place, but the value of that triplex has increased by 500%. Well, like, what am I like? What are we talking about here? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, like, I get you. I get you're missing out that monthly income and a monthly check, but your thing is skyrocketing. Your investment has skyrocketed. So that's the way I look at it. So I always think of that when it comes to players, negotiations, and contracts, and not contracts, but like the CBA and whatever, like the agreements, and they lock them out, and the owners are complaining about not making enough money. I'm like, yo, man, keep quiet. You guys are making money.
But you know how it works though. It's like if you made $100 million this year, and then next year you made 85 million. You're not gonna say, "Wow, I made 85 million." You're gonna say, "I lost 15 million."
Right.
That's
And
the mentality.
right, and that's how they look at it, right? Because you can't. They're sitting on it. That's not like liquid cash. That the value of the actual of the franchise, you're sitting on it. You're not having that money until you sell it. But I get it. But you're still sitting on it. It's an asset. You can use as collateral or credit. So I hear what you're saying though. They're gonna tell the story like that in terms of I lost 15 million. I didn't make that 100. I lost 85. Although the value of the franchise went up by 2 billion.
Right, exactly. Well, and I think if there was any even slight doubt that Luka was gonna stay or go, he's absolutely staying now. No way this owner buys this team for that much money and not have Luka be there forever. There's no way.
Well, this guy specifically sounds like he has a lot of money. Did you remember? Did you see what he owns?
Let's look it up right now.
Right. So as you look that up, it all depends on what kind of owner. If you don't, like, I heard the Boston owner said, "Yo, we're way over cap. The Celtics, we're way over. We're in the tax, whatever. We got to let these guys go." Right. And the previous owner probably saw that and said, "Listen, maybe it's time to sell at a high." This guy is trying to chop away contracts now, the new owner, right? So the Lakers, it all depends on what kind of owner who's willing to spend over the cap, who's willing, if you're willing to do it. You got cheap owners who don't want to spend money, like in some teams, some organizations, some franchises. So with him, this guy, I'm assuming money's no object. So Luka ain't going nowhere.
No.
Tell them from what I see. Yes, share with what he owns.
Yeah, no. Mark Walter is the guy that bought the franchise. He's 65 years old. He's the CEO of Guggenheim Partners, a privately held global financial services firm with more than $325 billion in assets under management.
325. That's more than like some country's GDP.
Yeah,
by far.
Exactly.
Can you believe that? Can you believe how much money that is?
And he's a primary owner of the Dodgers, which has 2 World Series under his leadership. He also owns an auto racing organization. He owns the Los Angeles Sparks. He did actually own 20% of the Lakers before this deal.
Oh, he did. He had 20. So okay. Wow. So wait a minute. So that 10 billion was to buy out the other 80%?
I guess so, or the rest of the franchise, the rest of the majority of it.
That means that franchise was valued at like 12, 13 billion.
And it looks like, I think the Buss family still owns like 10% or 15% of it or something like that. They still get to own it.
Or read that I don't know. Well, I don't know. I haven't read much about it.
Her role is still the same as a governing owner or whatever. It's still the same, but it's kind of like Cuban, but it's like it almost feels like it's almost like in name only. But
got you. So I don't know if she's partly owns 1%. Does she own something still, a certain percentage?
Yeah, that's what I said. I think the family still owns like 10 to 15% from what I was listening to on Sirius XM.
10, 50%.
You're still making something.
That's crazy. Yes.
Yeah, you're still making something.
10 billion, probably just crazy. Probably more than man. So they're good. That's an amazing deal. For both sides, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And Magic is all in because that's also his business partner, which would make sense because he's a part owner of the Dodgers.
The Dodgers.
So I think he's all
rich,
in.
Man.
This is big business right here, boy.
Yo, I feel like hating, man. I really feel like hating right now. Like I really do.
How can we get some of that money, Julian? How can we get to this money tree, bro?
We don't, man. We don't. It's all about nepotism. It's all about who you know. And these guys are in their positions. Like I don't know how this guy generated his wealth. But we don't have.
Like we got no shot.
We're not in those circles, man. We're not, and I don't think we will ever be. From where it looks now in America, I don't think it will ever be in those circles.
No, it is crazy. It is crazy to see that. But that to me was like by far the biggest news. Like the Lakers, I'm like that 45 years this has been in the family. You know what I mean? That's a huge deal.
Yeah, it's a changing of the guard. It's a changing of a chapter, moving on. She's moving on. Because I don't know how old is Jenny? Like how old is she? Like
she's got to be in her late 50s, early 60s at this point.
Right. The heyday. Now you're going off into the sunset. You just wanna, you're not into the limelight anymore. You know, she's been there, done that. So
yeah.
And like usually you pass it along to the kids and whatnot, but maybe I think Cuban.
I don't even know if she even has kids.
That too, right? I remember Mark Cuban. They asked why did he sell, and he's like, you know what, my kids. He didn't want that stress on his kids, and the kids didn't seem to be as into it as he was, and it was time, right? So maybe she doesn't have any kids, and like you got to look to the future, right?
Yeah.
So anyhow.
Now, so with that said, I know this finals is the other question I wanted to pose too. Before we wrap up, because like I said, this is going to be a short one today. I'm going to come back on Friday with a like a little more of an extended one. But looking at this finals, because I think this finals has been. I mean, you're a basketball fan. This finals has been awesome, right?
It has.
I thinking about it today, Julian. I'm wondering, is this the best finals that I've ever seen?
Whoa. Maybe in a while. Like I haven't put thought to it, but explain. Go explain.
Well, the reason why I bring that up is because I was thinking about this morning, and I'm like, the finals right now has been. Think about it. Every game, right? Forget the ratings. I'm going to take all the ratings and all that stuff out of it. I don't care about that. Like that's not affecting me. I don't care about that. But my thing is, every game. I can't remember finals where every game has been legitimately at least an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10, at least an 8 or higher for every single game. There hasn't been a blowout. There hasn't been like sloppy play. There hasn't been like every game. These teams are going at each other. They're coming with it. It's great execution. You know what I mean? Like great coaching. The star players mostly are hooping. Everybody's hooping. Everybody's defending. There's not a ton of threes. Like this is like basketball, like how it's supposed to be played. You know what I mean? Like one's playing at a faster pace. Like the Pacers are playing at like an incredible pace. But with that said, like they're giving everything and more to Oklahoma City right now. They're like Oklahoma City is like having to fight for their life. It's amazing because like I said, win or lose, I don't care what happens from here on in. Win or lose. The Pacers get my ultimate respect because this has been a great playoff showing. And on top of that, Julian, they've actually gotten better each round. They've legitimately gotten better each round. Like the same team that there are now is better than the one that was playing Cleveland. It's even better than the one that played New York a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. They have evolved as the series went along. After each series, they look better. They look stronger. I became a believer. I didn't think they were this good. Like when they beat them, I didn't think they were. Call me dumb, but I didn't think they were going to be able to beat the Knicks. I did not think so. As the series went along, I was able to see that they were the better team. But like, I thought Knicks had a legitimate chance to actually go advance. But Indiana, the way that they're playing with OKC, even then I thought OKC in 5. In 5.
I was giving them 6. I gave them 6. I was
and then
like after what I saw for Indiana, I was giving them maybe 2 games.
So fair enough. But like I just thought again, I look at the matchups and I don't know. I just thought they matched up better, like much better. and depth and whatever. But anyhow, they end up winning game 1, OKC, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And game 2 was close, a little bit closer. OKC won that. Game 3, Indiana won game 3, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, are they going to be able to pull this off? But Vegas still had OKC. No, Indiana was up 2-1, and Vegas still had OKC like in a landslide to win it. So even the Vegas still thought like, okay, this is still OKC's. And they ended up game 4. It was close. Indy had it to go up 3-1. They led for most part of the game to the very end, and then OKC went on a little run in the last minute too, and tied it up. And now I think it's going to be done. Now game 6 is done.
Yo, about maybe like end of the third quarter of game 4, I was thinking like, man, are the Pacers going to do this? Like, did they actually figure out OKC? Like, that's what it felt like, didn't it? Isn't that what it felt like?
They did. It did feel that way. It did. And they were so close to being up 3-1.
Yeah. Legitimately.
So they got my respect. Like even before the series started, they had my respect on how they were able to put away Knicks, put away Cleveland. No, they looked like
I didn't even think they were going to beat Cleveland, Julian.
No, I didn't think so either. Like, let's be real. Look at Indiana's lineup. Like there was like other than even Siakam doesn't really scare a lot of guys, right? Actually, he hasn't impressed me like as much as the whole Pacers team in these playoffs. But he's me being a Siakam fanboy in Toronto, he still impressed me because I didn't think he still had it in him. But if you look at their lineup, Cleveland's lineup is better, I thought.
Yeah.
And I thought, what do you think? I thought the Knicks lineup was better than Indiana. What do you think? Like
I thought the Knicks was going to win that series in 6 or 7. And I thought the only thing that gave me a hiccup was that Thibodeau doesn't play his more than 6 or 7 guys. Right. That was the only thing that gave me pause to be like, but with that said, I still thought they were going to win.
Right, because they were able to win the previous 2 series running. They've been running on a high clip all year with a 7-man rotation. You know what I'm saying? Along as nobody was injured or hurt, I thought the Knicks had a good chance. And I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know how. I just looked at the lineup and I thought Knicks was going to win it for sure. But the way that Indiana played, Indiana's defense has impressed me. Like they're not known for their defense throughout the whole series. They're more of a up and down team, fast, push it, scoring, high scoring games. Their totals are like the highest totals. If you look at the totals before every game starts during the regular season. And when the playoffs started, their defense, Nembhard, like their defense was solid. And I think that's what changed everything.
I actually thought the Pacers defense was better than it was last year. Because last year, I don't think they really played defense. This year, it's like, even though they play at the high clip, it doesn't look that way if you look at the analytics and the stats. But when you watch them play, as much as they're scoring and the pace is going up, they play defense. They play defense.
Well, they definitely do in playoffs now. They have, right? But I don't know. During the season, they may have played better defense than last year. It still wasn't on a high level of a defense. They weren't known as a defensive team. Mm-hmm. Like OKC is known as a defensive team.
Right.
But the way that they were able to shut down Brunson and shut down not Garland. Garland was the way that they managed or they set their plays on D and focus on defense and locking down guys, not letting guys beat them. It was impressive, right? So
super impressive,
right? And that's what's gotten them to the point right now where they are in the finals. So,
but this is why I asked the question: is this the best finals that we've seen? I think for sure this is the best finals this century, 100%. I don't think any series comes close to this. I actually put a little.
What about the Raptors and the Golden State? That was a pretty decent series.
No, that was a good series too, but it wasn't. I don't think it was better than this. It wasn't a better series than this. It was a good series. Don't get me wrong. That was probably one of the better series actually this century. It probably
in terms of pure ball, this is up there, but you're still lacking like that superstar. I'm
just talking about just playing basketball. I'm not
Yeah, I
talking
got
about
you.
ratings.
Yeah,
All that stuff. I'm just talking strictly the game of basketball, like pace, everything, excitement. What is, you know what I mean? All that stuff kicking in. Like the Raptors one, and of course we could be biased because we live in the city, but that was a good one. That was a good one. I'll give you that. That was a good one. And I think
competitive.
Yeah, and the second, oh sorry, not the second, the third Cavs Warriors finals when Durant just got there, that one was pretty good. Although I think really was but although I think really it was that first game that was amazing because it was like basically like the Avengers. It was like Civil War about to happen between these two super teams. You know what I mean? The Spurs in 2014, but Miami wasn't on their level because if you remember when the Spurs beat Miami, that was probably some of the best basketball you've ever seen, but that was more one-sided, so you can't really count that. OKC, Mavs and Heat, that was good too. That was good too. But
oh man, that was up there, man. That was up there.
That was good too. I think LeBron flaming out was probably like one of the big things as well. But when you're talking like players, like, all the stars players, like they're all playing well and stuff. Yeah, it's tough to say, man, because you can't count the Lakers when they three-peated with Shaq and Kobe. That Pacers series is probably pretty good. It was good, but
yeah.
And then the other two series after that, we love the AI, but they manhandled AI.
Oh,
you know what I mean? All the Spurs series was, some of it was good. Some of it was like especially when they played the Pistons, that was like 76-65. Like, you don't want to see those finals ever again, not even by accident. To me, honestly, you have to go back to the late 80s. I think the Lakers and Celtics and then I think the Lakers and the Pistons, which most people forget that series. That was probably one of the best series played. But you have to go back to that, where like the competitive, like the style of ball, like on all, and then you counting all the stars and Magic and all these guys too. Like when you're throwing that in, now it's really on another level. But like the style of basketball, because you forget those Pistons teams, the bad boys, all that stuff. They were actually a great team. Like, forget all the rough play and all that stuff. Their style of basketball they were great. Like when you go back and watch them, it was actually great basketball. It's just they got blindsided by the elbows. You know what I mean?
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
Got blindsided.
Let's see what Game 6 says, though. We still have another game in terms of how the level of competitiveness, entertainment, skill, like, because it could be a blowout if Halliburton doesn't play.
I don't think so, though. I don't know if it'll be a blowout, though. Like,
really?
I don't think so, because think about, like, Halliburton didn't really do much in Game 5, and if the Pacers doesn't turn the ball over that much, they cut down on some of those turnovers. They might have come back and won that one. That was a close game too. Like they pulled away, but.
Yeah, you're right. But you got to also understand that OKC was pretty much had the lead for the entire game at the same time.
Right.
Indy did bring it down to 2 points at one point in the fourth. And I'm like, what the fuck? Are we going to see this again? Right. Yeah. But it was pretty much in OKC's hand to lose, to drop the ball, literally. But they held on. McConnell was on fire. Like, what the fuck? That guy was not missing in that in game.
Oh my God.
In Game 5. But the point is that, like, we'll see I still think if Tyrese isn't playing, because it's let's be real, it takes one threat off the floor, right? You have McConnell starting, then who's coming in for McConnell for the backup, right? So it throws the whole rotation and everything off. So I'm not saying it'll be a complete blowout, but it could be. So let's just wait to see how this looks like in terms.
I think the Pacers play so hard. Like I don't see, like, the Pacers play. When the team is desperate and they're trying to, like, hit a bunch of threes and foul and play that game at the end of games to try to come back and win, or come back at least tie the game to send it overtime. They play that desperation game. The Pacers play like that for 48 minutes.
Yeah, I know. They
literally play like that from jump ball. They play it that way for 48 minutes. I've never seen anything like that. It's nuts. I don't know how they sustain this.
And then when they get down, they don't even like get down literally, like physically. They actually keep competing. Like the score doesn't matter. They're still and they hit buckets when they're down. Like it's crazy because usually when you're down, it's harder to have that confidence to take that shot, right? Like when you're up, you
Pressure.
can take
Yeah.
shots, right? But that pressure's on. They hit them. They hit threes. I think they hit most of the threes when they're down by 10. It's crazy to watch. So, I'm still going to watch. I obviously if he plays or doesn't play, but I think it's going to be competitive in the early going because it's in Indiana, right, and the crowd and whatnot. But I think in the second half is where OKC is going to like start to take off.
And it's a tough injury too for Halliburton because we've seen in the last few years when you have that calf tightness, you just don't know where that can go. Although I was driving, I was listening to Sirius XM, and Eddie Johnson made a great point where he was like, sometimes when you have calf tightness, sometimes it could be your back, it could be your lower back that's tight. You know what I mean? And it's causing pressure on your calf, right? So we don't know. And he's had back issues earlier this year. So I'm like, so we don't know. You know what I mean?
So like exactly. So we don't know to what level. Even if he does play, he may not. He looked kind of off. Like he still looked like he was moving very well in the game, to be honest with you. But his stats were off, like in terms of field goals, turnovers. It was kind of weird because if you visually watch him, he was moving quite.
I thought he wasn't going as hard. He wasn't as aggressive. Like especially when it came to driving and stuff, he wasn't making the same kind of moves. You know what I mean, as he was before.
He didn't make as many. He didn't make as many, but he was still moving. If you look at it, he didn't look like he lost a step. Yes, he wasn't driving. I agree to that as much as he was, but he's not really much of a driving type guard. He'll take his spots and he'll get an N1 and get to the line and stuff like that. But anyhow, we'll see how it goes. It could also be just gamemanship. It could be just line trying to like throw them off, OKC off in terms of how they prepare and whatnot. So it is elimination game. So as a coaching staff, you pull out any kind of stunt that you can to kind of throw the other team off. And OKC just has to like prepare as if he's playing. But we'll see how he does. But if his stats were way off, Halliburton's his stats were terrible. I think he had no field goals. I think no field goals.
He didn't.
None. No. That's not normal. All right.
Yeah. I do think though that if he does play, because I know he's a game time decision, but if he does play, man, I'm picking him up 94 feet, like literally from the baseline to baseline. I'm physical. Even if he doesn't bring the ball up the floor, I'm picking him up 94 feet. I'm gonna make his life a living hell.
And they have the guards to do it. OKC has the guards to do it.
Yeah, they got the personnel to do it.
Right. So this is the matchup. That's what I'm saying. I saw the matchup on paper. I'm like, when it comes to defensive stops and what team had like better defensive players, I think it was OKC. Clearly, they match up well in that regard. So that's what I thought. 5 games, but I also thought Knicks was going to beat Indy too. So what do I know? Indy has surprised me every series. So we'll see how they come out tomorrow.
And before we wrap with props to, what do you think about Jalen Williams' last couple of games? Because props to him, because he like I'm not quite certain where this whole thing of him being kind of like a choker and not coming through in clutch situations. Do you hear that here and there? And I'm like, the guy's like in his 3rd year. Why is that moniker on him already? Like to me, it made 0 sense. It made 0 sense. But I think he kind of shook that now. Like I love, the way he's played the last 3 games. I would say, like he basically figured out his role on the team in terms of in the finals. I know he's the number 2 guy, but I think he figured out like, okay, where I can attack, where these weak spots are, and surprisingly, it's Neesmith. He's going after Neesmith like nobody's business. But I love what he's doing in terms of just he's putting his head down. He is just attacking the basket. He is attacking either on cuts, pick and rolls, dribble drives, isolation. He is going at the basket almost exclusively. You know what I mean? And it panned out the last 2 games because he kind of saved them in game 4. And then game 5, he dropped 40.
Yeah. Yeah. he's definitely found his groove, and he has his confidence, and I think the team is respecting that too, because they're allowing him to touch the ball and score, right? Like it's SGA's team, but I think the team has found a spot for Williams to score as well. Obviously, he gets his touches, and he's well deserving to get those touches because, as you said, he's driving the lane. And the one thing I love about him, how he's always in control. Like there's times when he's going into the lane behind the back. Like, this is a game 5 in the finals. He's going behind the back, and he's still feeling in control, comfortable to pull off moves like that, and he's hitting them off balance, one floaters, one handers. So like that's why he's getting 40 some odd points.
Yeah,
right? I think he's just outplaying. I don't think Indy's not doing what they're supposed to do. I think they're doing what they're supposed to do, but he's just hitting tough shots.
Yeah, he's imposing his will.
Yeah,
I think that's all that happened. I think mentally, it's like he went from settling sometimes to like every time I touch the ball, I'm going after you, and that's it. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. Like those, like there's definitely been like a mentality shift within the last like at least 2 games for sure.
100%. He's scoring, and their defense has stepped up. Like did you see the amount of steals and blocks they had last game? Like OKC, like I can't remember. Like I think like SGA had like between steals and blocks, like 3-4 steals and blocks. Williams had like 2, Caruso had 1, Dort had 3.
Chad had like 4 blocks.
Yeah, like I think that's the difference. Williams scoring, and they're getting like defensive turnovers. Yeah, Indy's turning the ball over. Never heard of had some bad turnovers there in the fourth quarter, but a lot of those turnovers are caused by pressure in the hands in the lane, doubles, a quick double team, and they're creating it. So kudos to them. But I think Indy is going to come out a little bit different at home. Obviously, it's not going to be as many turnovers. Bit more calm, comfortable, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, I think my prediction for Game 6 is I think we're going to watch them raise the trophy, and we're going to be talking about it on Friday. I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked at this point if it goes to Game 7 with Halliburton's injury now. But I think even if he didn't get hurt, I was going to stand by my prediction and say 6. I just feel like OKC kind of figured out how to weather the storm a little bit, and I think that's the biggest thing in this game. They're going to have to weather that first quarter rush of the wave of just the fans and the role players playing hard, and like they gotta be ready for that emotional avalanche. The first quarter, you know what I mean, for sure. And then after that, once they weather that, I think they should win.
I agree too, and that's when by the start of the second quarter is when the bench starts playing too, right? And that's when the OKC's bench starts to take over. I think they have the stronger bench. Indy has a pretty good bench as well, but I think OKC at that point will start to weather the storm, as you say, and kind of hold the lead or stay close, and then bring back in the starters, and that's it. So, but you think it's going to be a close game, right?
I think it's going to be. I still think it's going to be pretty close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
I got to see what the spread is. I don't know what the spread, but you definitely think under 10 points.
I think so.
Okay. I gotta take a look to see what it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the spread is or anything like that, but I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna say OKC by 10, but I don't think it's gonna be like. I think it's gonna be a pretty close game. They'll probably pull away and make it like 10 by the end, but I can see them winning by like 10 points.
I'm gonna tell you right now before we end this what it is.
Yeah, and shout out to the Universe Galaxy. No, I'm not talking about Michael Jordan being the worst sports fans of all time. No, I'm not doing it.
Somebody's been asking that?
Yeah, somebody in the chat here is asking about that. I'm like, listen, man, LeBron versus MJ, I don't want to hear that conversation anymore. I'm so Julian. I'm not hearing that. I don't think you even understand how far gone I'm done with that conversation. Like I've been done with that conversation for at least 5 years. That's why if you notice all the years I've been doing, I don't bring that up. I hate the topic.
It's tiresome.
I think it's lazy at this point.
Yeah, it is late. I was going to say it's easy clickbait. It's easy to get listeners and barbershop talk. Nah. By the way, 6.5. OKC's favored by 6.5. So it is under 10. Like I thought it'd be under 10. Don't get me wrong, but
I doesn't mean you think it's going to end that way.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like around 10 points. So
yeah,
but 6.5. That's okay.
And thank you, Universe Galaxy, for checking in on this, but. Nah, bro, I ain't talking about Michael Jordan fans. Just nah, man. This ain't the time for that right now. Plus, we wrap it up anyway. But yeah, no, like I said, man, I think we'll be back here talking about Shea, making big history, and I can't wait to have that conversation. I'm rooting for him. As I said, I don't have a dog in the fight in this finals, but I want him to like complete that circle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be a great season, a great year. MVP, and if he gets a ring, and MVP. What do you call the MVP of the playoffs? I don't know.
Well, Finals MVP.
Finals MVP, right? So 2 MVPs if he gets it. I think he should get it if they win it all, and if he has a good game. I'm assuming he's going to put up his shots tomorrow just to make sure that he does get it. But if he can wrap up a triple crown like that.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it. I'd love to see that from, especially for Canada basketball. Like, right? I mean, you can't. Right. I'll be draped in red or a Canadian flag or something if they pull that out, man, on Friday. But nah, like I said, I'm looking very forward to that. But let's reconvene on Friday, man. Thank you, brother, for hopping in as always, man.
Anytime, no problem. We'll do that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And thank you guys for tuning into this as well. Universe Galaxy, appreciate you once again. I see this guy just putting up all these things about Jordan. But yes, we'll but much love and appreciation to everybody, man. Thank you so much. And we'll be back, man. The Ave Podcast with Cal C. Appreciate you guys, man. We'll be back for the next one. Peace. Yeah, there you go.